Hello and welcome to Author Hour with Richard Lyntton. I am your host, Richard Lyntton, author of North Korea Deception, book 1 in the Deception series. North Korea Deception is an international spy thriller set in London, Moscow, Vladivostok and Pyongyang. But today we're going to switch gears. I'm thrilled to welcome Marissa Costonis, who is a certified health coach, speaker and award-winning author of the bestseller Change Bites, 5 change management strategies to transform your health. Marissa spent over a decade in change management consulting with Accenture, leading a variety of business transformation initiatives around the world. When faced with a host of personal health challenges, Marissa decided to take a business approach. She created a unique methodology using proven change management best practices to transform her diet and health with great success. Marissa has been featured in publications such as Forbes, Benefits Pro, CFO, HR Daily Digest, and Leader to Leader, as well as Mantra Wellness and Gluten-Free Living. Welcome, Marissa. Hey.
Hi, Richard.
So this is really exciting because, first of all, we don't know each other. We've never met before, so that's always exciting.
Absolutely.
You are my first, I have to say, non-fiction how-to book.
Okay.
So we've had a memoir non-fiction, but it's mostly been fiction to now. And so I have to tell you, so the reason it was like perfect timing when you sent me your book, Change Bites, because I was dieting, I feel like we've all been, a year, 18 months, and I just went to a school event, and I people just look heavier. So I was really trying to lose like 10 to 15 pounds, which I've if you look at my first 2 episodes, by the way, you'll see the difference, hopefully. But so I was really interested in your book. I did try this super duper app called Noom.
Yep.
But what I want to say to people is save your money, because yes, Noom works, but this is like a much better deal. Believe me, it's a one-off. You buy it and you're good to go. So Marissa, let me just start by saying, why? Let's start here. Tell me a little bit about your business background and why and how the book Change Bites came about.
Sure. Well, first of all, thank you so much for having me. I'm
welcome.
really excited to be here. Change Bites, the book, it started, I spent well over a decade leading these massive transformation initiatives with Accenture in their change management group. And what that meant was, mergers or reorgs, new technology, new business strategies, and I've worked in Belgium and London and Germany, and after many, many years, it took a toll on my body and my health.
And can I just want to read this because it blew me out. The very first page: a lifelong battle with constipation, migraines, congestion, excessive fatigue, high white blood cell count, and an episode of Bell's palsy, facial paralysis on one side, to name but a few. So when I was reading it, I'm like, oh my God, Marissa really needed this book.
and to look at me, and this is what I want to say to people, to look at me, you would think, she is the epitome of perfect health.
I agree.
And not only did I have that, I had low-grade lymphoma, hypothyroidism, like you name it, autoimmune stuff. So, but there's so many people walking around that look perfectly healthy, but on the inside, they're not.
Right.
And they're what they're called mystery illnesses.
Okay.
And my challenge is that I went to probably 7 different doctors to figure out what was wrong with me. And nobody could really figure it out.
What kind of doctors? Regular,
I went to all the regular doctors. I went to specialists. I went to, and then found a few functional doctors, and then finally landed on a functional doctor, which I don't know if you know much about functional medicine.
No, I was going to say, what is that?
So a functional doctor looks at the root cause of all your issues, and it ties all the pieces of your challenges together to figure out what the root cause issue is. And it wasn't until I finally found one doctor, and he looked at me and said, I think we figured it out.
Ooh. He just looked at you?
Well, he did a lot of blood tests and a lot of different testing, and he said, we figured it out.
Really?
And I said, great, where's the pill? Give me the prescription, I'll mix a powder. And he said, I need you to fundamentally change your diet, your lifestyle, everything. Wow. So give up gluten, dairy, sugar, grains, and go start meditating
and you're
come
Italian
back.
American.
Well,
so...
I'm 100% Italian, so we're planning the next meal. We're planning dinner when we're sitting down to breakfast.
Right.
So, I mean, I was pretty obsessed with food. And he sent me off, bye-bye, good luck.
Right.
And we see this so much with heart disease, with diabetes. Doctors just say, go change your diet and good luck, I'll see you in a couple months. So I went home.
They don't tell us how, right?
And nobody knows how. And there are over 100 different diet books on the market.
Right.
And yet nobody talks about how.
How to do it.
They only focus on what to eat.
Yep.
And so I went home and I felt paralyzed. And I thought, well, what do I do now? And after feeling a little sorry for myself, I stopped and said, wait a minute. If anybody knows anything about change, it should be you, right?
Yeah.
Is it possible that you could apply some of these same strategies and best practices you've used with Fortune 100 companies all over and apply that same methodology to changing your diet and health? Right. So I literally I pulled out all my old client materials and books and favorite resources, and I sat in a big pile and I analyzed the methodology for change. And that methodology that's used in businesses all over is based on the death and dying change curve from Elizabeth Kubler-Ross.
Okay.
And it talks about the stages of change. Right. Well, that methodology is the same whether you use it for death and dying, for business, it's all a variation. So I decided I was going to create my own methodology and finally focus to help people on the how. So whether you're a marathon runner who just needs to eat more greens and they want to change, or whether you want to go for a full vegan or keto diet, this is a methodology for how to do it no matter how big or how small.
Fantastic.
So I created this methodology. I changed my own diet. I changed my own lifestyle. It's a slow process. It was literally one bite at a time. And I thought, this is what people need. I envisioned it on the back of every doctor's door that says, go change your diet. Right. And literally on the back of the door before they open it up and say, bye-bye, I wanted them to have a book that they could go to and say, how do I get started?
Right. Does when you say the change your diet, tell me a little bit about portion size. Does that come into it?
Portion size is definitely key, although this process is not really about counting calories and looking at how many grams of protein you're eating. It's really about finding the right combination for you. I like to think about it this way. Everybody walking around has their own, think of a safe, right? Right 32, left 12, right 22. Right. We all have the perfect combination of eating. We have our own individual diet. We just have to figure out what it is. Right. So in the book, I talk about a process where you listen to your body and you figure out what the best way is to eat.
Do you want, so first of all, let me say again, what I love about this book is that it's first of all, the feel, like it literally just feels great for a start. I love the cover. It's not too massive. You know, some of these books are just like huge and you're like, I'm never going to get through this. Right. What I love about this is that it's got this 5 change management strategies. So you got your 5 steps. Yeah. I love also that it's personal, but also because you've got the business background, you bring this business element and also before you bite. So there's almost for me, it reminded me a little bit of sort of mindfulness and meditation. So tell me 2 things. Tell me, if you want to walk us through the 5 steps briefly, I don't know whether that might be just so people have an idea. It's like 5 pillars, 5 steps. You call them 5 change management strategies, 5 bites, and then talk to me about how you very cleverly managed to bring in that sort of personal business, and sort of mindfulness all in one.
Yep. Well, what I can do is let me touch on just a couple of key components.
Yeah. I don't want you to give too much of the book away.
Because, we'll be here all day, right?
Yeah.
So, but let me talk about a few things that maybe you haven't heard before. Yeah. And one thing that is starting to become more popular is this idea of a health vision. Okay. Right? Is beginning with the end in mind. Wow. So when we go and we say, I'm not supposed to eat sugar, or I have to give up gluten or dairy, or I shouldn't eat fried food, right? Why? Well, because my doctor told me. That's not really, the desire to change is not really enough if somebody tells you.
Can I give you the answer? See if I'm right. It's because at the end you want to look good. Is that the answer that you were going to get? Tell me if it's not, but it's just that
it could
one thing I
be.
came up with is it starts with, well, why are you doing this? And I'm like, and it gives you all these multiple choice. I'm talking about the new map, but which I did not subscribe to because it's way too expensive. I'm just saying this is a much better deal. But so I just wondered whether I was just kind of
I'm glad you
cheekily
said that.
jumping in.
Yes. Well, I'm so glad you said that because so many diets, that is the health vision, is that I look great and I look good in a bikini, I look great in my jeans.
Right.
But the reality is that, and for some people that still might be it.
Yep.
But what I'm digging at and what I talk to a lot of people about is much deeper. And it's, they look at their own health challenges. And people say, oh, I'm perfectly healthy. Really? Well, have you had an uninterrupted night of sleep? So deep. Do you have any digestive problems? Do you ever get a rash or a bump on you? Do you ever have any bloating? Do you have any joint pain? Right? What are some of the little things? Do you have battle with sinus infections? There's so many little things that when you really step back and think, oh yeah, well, I do have that problem, or I do have that problem. Those are the things that we want to get at. And when you put together your health vision, those are the short-term things that you want to get under control. I get frequent headaches or sore throats or whatever it might be. Those are the short-term things that go into your vision. Your long-term things are, long-term, where do you want to be? So if you're 50, let's say, and you're looking into the future, well, I want to be able to take my grandchildren to Disney World. I hear that all the time for my certain clients. They say, I see my health of my parents and it scares me because I don't want to be like that. I want to be able to go to their games. I want to go on family vacations. Like, what's your future vision? And for me, what motivated me was I saw myself stand up paddling in my favorite beach in New Jersey. Right? I saw myself with my husband walking around, going to 100 different farmers markets in the country. I saw myself hiking in Colorado. I saw myself being with my kids and doing all of their things as they get older. Like, I had this picture and this vision of what I wanted to do, and nothing was going to get in my way. And that is what keeps the motivation. Because the bikini and the jeans and the looking good, for some reason, that doesn't help you create sustainable change. It's just kind of good for the short term, but it never lasts.
And so that was sort of the end of the 5 strategies, like the vision?
That's actually the beginning. And what I say is begin with the end in mind. So we start by creating this vision of perfect health. And people say, you can't say perfect health. I can. Perfect health to me is different than perfect health to you. Perfect health for me is going to the doctor and having, my lymphoma numbers perfectly, perfectly stable, or having my nervous system in check, or having my digestive system. But for you, it might be, I want to have that uninterrupted night of sleep. So begin with that end vision and start there and continually use that as your motivation throughout.
Sorry.
Yeah.
The five strategies. Do you want to just run through real quick?
So that's kind of the first big piece. And the other piece of that is that nobody really talks about is they always jump to the end diet. Right? Let's go keto, let's go vegan, it's no meat, it's no this, it's no carbs. Okay, wait. Take a step back. How do you eat today? How come nobody looks at where you are today? And I say, like, how much change can you stomach right now?
And I like the way you said in the book, what really stuck out in my mind is you said, I don't expect you to go and empty the fridge today. And that's the point. You've got to start somewhere. You've got to start slow. But sorry, go ahead.
Exactly. And also what nobody really talks about is not only how do I eat today, and I have some clients that are eating hamburgers and French fries and donuts, and it doesn't really matter where you start. It matters that you make incremental change, but we have to at least recognize where you're starting from and be honest about it. Because if you try to, start with whatever diet you have Friday, and everybody always says, Monday, I'm going to start my diet Monday, clearly that's not going to work, right? So how do you eat today? How do you make small changes from there? And also kind of, how much change can you stomach? Think about what's going on in your life. Like, are your kids going through a lot, right? Are you having some trouble in your marriage, or your parents sick right now, maybe that's not the best time to go super dramatic and go vegan in 2 days when you're a meat-loving person. So look at how you eat today and really be honest about how much change, because the pace of change, and we do this with organizations as well, the change management plan for a very old insurance company looks a lot different than the change management plan for a young tech startup, right? The young tech startup says, let's go fast, let's move. The older insurance company is like, we need to take things a little slow. And I use that business example, we have to do the same thing. And that's kind of the foundation of step one.
And you also talk about this vision for businesses, right?
Yes.
Like, it's so important to, and I feel like that's a real outside of the box idea, in the sense that, I mean, some people might say, well, it's big brother, it's intrusion. But I think you're so right, because, you know, the business, who is the business? The people, right? So tell me a little bit about how that came about, you know, and perhaps talk about the business aspect of the book. Like I said, the way it's for, you could give this to your Aunt Mildred, and she could enjoy the book.
Right.
You could give this to coworker. You could give this to a whole company, have them buy 1,000 copies. So very clever, you've done that. Can you just explain how that came about, and if that was like intentional at the time because you're a business person?
So it just made so much sense to me, because the way that a business goes about change is a methodical process, right? Can you imagine a business that had no strategy or no mission or no vision, right? Or they had no idea how they wanted to serve their customers? That would never happen, right? So we're the same way. So let me give you a couple of other business examples. A business needs people, they need the right process, they need tools, they need technology, right? Why aren't we the same way in our diet? So I took a step back and said, all right, what does that mean to me as I begin to change my diet? Well, people. I have so many clients and myself. We need a support system. You need people, you need consultants, you need your people in the organization to help you through the change. Well, when I had to give up all these different things in my diet, I had to go to my family and say, listen, guys, I know we always went for pizza on Friday night. We need to have a talk, because we're going to need to make a change as a family. I need you to help me, right? We can't go there. Let's go here, right? I need their support. I need sponsorship. It's just like in an organization. You need your people to help you. You
know what? I think that's so important, that reaching out, because I sort of, when I was dieting recently, and, you know, I can't, so I wanted my wife to be sort of not controlling, but I didn't want her to shout at me, you can't eat that, you can't have those chips. But I needed the positive reinforcement. But I never, and I still really haven't, I mean, I sort of said, I just need you to be supportive or something. But I should have, I feel like at the beginning, I should have really said to her, hey honey, I just need you to be really encouraging every day, on the progress I make. I don't need you to like bark at me. And I know you're barking at me because you want me to lose weight and you've got my interests at heart. But I just that very basic, and your kids as well. You would say it differently to your kids than you would your husband. So I think that's a crucial point. Tell me about the writing of this book, because you know, I remember I tried to write a how-to book like 10 years ago, Clear Your Clutter, Free Your Mind. And it was much harder than I thought, because you think, oh, well, you know, it's a non-fiction book. The writing doesn't have to be fantastic. I just have to sort of get it all down. So how did you go about, I know you said you got all your past sort of papers from your business projects. And so how did you write a non-fiction book?
So through this process, I had actually gone back to school to become a certified health coach. And the program that I went to, Institute for Integrative Nutrition, that school had a book launching program in it that was a one-year program.
Clever. As part of the course?
No, this was alongside? Like a couple years after.
Oh, okay.
So it took a year, and I said, what happened was, as I started to work with clients, I had this methodology. And I said, gosh, I wish I could just put my methodology together so I could hand it to a client and say, all right, before we work together, can you just read this as a primer?
Yes.
And then when we work together, we can save 3 sessions.
Okay. So wait, I just want to get timing. So,
yeah.
So how long was the course, the certified coach course? How long was that?
That course was about 1.5 years.
So a year. And that was because you decided that you wanted to be more healthy.
Right.
So a year and a half. Then how many years after that did you then think, I've got to start writing this book?
So I was a health coach. I was certified back in 2012.
Yep.
And I wrote this book about, it'll be coming on 3 years now. So I had been putting together.
That's a few years.
And practicing.
That's 3 to 5 years.
Mm-hmm.
So
I
you
had been practicing
3 to 5 years
a
of
bit.
experience. I'm just sort of thinking of people who've got an expertise and they can write a book. I mean, you can't just do a course and then have 6 months in the field and then write a book.
Right.
So you had 3 to 5 years of experience. Then you started putting it out on paper. How long did your first draft take?
So there's a lot of different book writing programs out there, which I would highly recommend. If you think, like sometimes they say you need to birth a book, like you feel like you have one inside you and you have to get it out. Definitely look and see what kind of programs.
Did you use one?
I did.
So which one did you use again?
The Institute for Integrative Nutrition. I went back to them and they said, listen, a lot of you we find are wanting to write books.
Yeah, clever.
We have a 1-year program where we create a structured process and we keep you accountable.
Yeah.
And they just give you kind of the ins and outs and keep you. I never would have written this in a year. Plus, the carrot was the 10 people out of the, I don't know, over 1,200 people in the course, the top 10 books that win Best Author get their entire tuition for free. Whoa. And I was like, game on, that's me. I want to win. And I set that. Of course I did.
You did win?
I did.
You wouldn't have told the story otherwise.
Right.
But that is fantastic. So wait, how many, out of the 1,200, how many winners were there? 10? 10. Did they give you a pecking order in the 1 to 10?
No, they just said, these are our favorite 10 and you get full tuition back.
Did they like just the manuscript or was it already a finished thing?
It was a finished product and yeah.
So you literally all of you handed them your finished thing. They buy it on Amazon or whatever and they take a look. And so that must have helped sales.
It definitely did. I mean, coming out of the gate with that award was huge, and it wasn't long after that the book hit #1 on Amazon. So that was really cool. But having that structured process to anyone that's looking to write a book was so helpful. It really was.
By the way, if you do, well, you should definitely buy this book. Don't forget to leave a review. Reviews are really important to authors. And don't ask me why, but the algorithm or whatever, literally just a couple of sentences. It doesn't take long. And that goes for my book as well, by the way, if any of you have read it. What do you, so you've written the book. Tell me about your life now. You're a health coach. Yep. So people can come to you, like, how does that work? Is it like going to a doctor? A
little bit, except that it's so much more than just go change your diet, right? What I found through the years, it's gone almost 10 years now, is my individual clients, we meet every 2 weeks and we have, we set up accountability. Yeah. Every client is so different, right? Some clients come to me because they're diagnosed with celiac. Right. They have no idea. Now they know what to eat and what not to eat. They can't eat gluten. Yeah. But how do they go about going to a restaurant? How do they work with their family? Right. How do they learn how to cook? It's the emotional component. I have a lot of executives that come to me, and the health vision piece is really powerful to them. Yeah. Yeah. They really want to craft exactly why they want to change their diet. Most people today are just saying, let's go keto, I want to lose a bunch of weight, and it doesn't work. I had a president of a large change management company come to me this year, and he said to me, I bought your book, I lost 25 pounds, but most importantly, this is the first year that I spent the entire holiday season, so Thanksgiving through the holidays, and I didn't have to think about my weight, I didn't have to think about how I ate. This is just a way that he lives now, and the weight is sort of like a side benefit. Yeah.
And there's no magic bullet here.
That's right.
There's no magic bullet. You got to put the work in, and I'm not saying Marissas is the only book out there, but it's a great start if you need that little kick. and you don't want to spend a fortune on, you know, sort of dieting apps and stuff. What did I want to ask you? So go ahead.
Yeah, no, I was just going to say, you know, you had asked about the business piece of this.
Yeah.
You know, the other components of this is to look at, you know, in business, we look at, you know, what are certain quick hits. So when Amazon bought Whole Foods,
yeah.
right? They didn't buy Whole Foods on Monday and then on Friday and then say on Monday, all our operations are seamless. We are one company, right? They did a couple things called quick hits.
Okay.
And if you remember what they did is they dropped the price within the first couple weeks, really. They dropped the price of milk and bread and avocados. Why did they do that, right? Because we talk about quick hits in the book. What can we do right away? They did that to show, like, we mean business. We're going to make a couple quick changes, and it's going to make a difference. So you don't have to wait, you know, 2 years for the results. The other thing is when we look at technology and tools, if you're going to go to a completely different diet, do you have the right tools?
Right.
Do you have the right skills? You know, again, in business, you wouldn't dream of moving forward without thinking, do I have the right technology? Do I have the right skills? If you're going to go on a keto or vegan diet, think about taking an online cooking class. Do you have the skills you need to start cooking that way? Look at the tools. Do you have the right tools in your kitchen, the right pots, the right pans? You might need a rice cooker. So it's all of these components.
Last 2 minutes. Why is your book different, Marissa, from all the others out there? Because I think it is different. Tell us, just sum it up if you can, the last couple of minutes. Why is your book different? Why should someone try you if they find they've tried 10 other books?
I think the thing that's special about this book and this process is, it is very personal, and I do tie a lot of client examples in here. But it's mostly because no matter how big or small of a change you want to make, no matter how drastic, this process works for everyone. And it doesn't just target one specific diet. It's really about finding what works just for you.
Yeah, love it, love it. Fantastic. What about your, one final thought, your family? How is it, did your husband get on board? And we're actually wrapping up, but just real quick, like children, how did it affect your children? How did it affect your husband?
Yep. I mentioned learning the combination and what foods affect you. Back then, so 10 years ago, I taught my 10-year-old, and she said to me, Mom, and I have clients all the time that say this to me, I don't think I can eat dairy anymore. Teaching kids, and I taught my own kids how to recognize what foods work for them and what foods don't, that's going to be with them for the rest of their lives. And it's really powerful. Yeah,
that's really fantastic. Well, thank you so much, Marissa Costonis, for a fascinating conversation today. You can find out, and here's the thing, you can find out more about her work at www.changebites, with an S, changebites.com, all one word. I am your host, Richard Lyntton, author of North Korea Deception, book 1 in the Deception series. And this is also available on Amazon in all formats around the world. Cheerio, see you next time.